Hello, friends. Hello, Eden family. It's me, Pastor Darren. If we haven't met yet, my name is Darren Stott. I pastor a super cool, amazing church called Eden. Two campuses now, Eden Newcastle and Eden North, located in Smoky Point. Want to give out shout out and much love to all our Eden North peeps. This Sunday is the launch of our Eden North campus, and that starting this Sunday, we'll be meeting weekly. So for more information on that, you can check out our website, edenmovement.org. So definitely go and check that out. I want to talk about this concept with you real quick. I think this is actually really important, and I wanted to get on here and do this. This isn't going to be something that I chat about this Sunday, because we're getting into the book of Revelation, which is going to be an intense and in-depth study through the book of Revelation, the revelation of Jesus the Christ. And so, but from time to time, there are these different topics that I like to process through. And so that's what I'm going to do here is I'll process through some things with you. I've titled this thing, God Ideas versus Good Ideas. I'm sure you've heard that in a sermon, probably many times in your life. Perhaps maybe I've even said it. There are good ideas, and then there are, God ideas. There are man's ways, and then there are God ways. There are things that God builds, and then there are things that man builds, and God is good and man is bad, and anything man made is bad. If it's God made, it's good. And there's this massive thing. It's actually a theology. Believe it or not, it's actually a heresy. And I don't get, me, guys. I'm not exactly Mr. Heresy Hunter. I do know this, that if you're a part of Eden, if you follow me on YouTube, Facebook, if we're connected in some way, it's because you are a supernaturalist. You have a supernatural ethic, or at least a desire to do the things that Jesus did, blind eyes opening, the mute tongue singing for joy, the lame leaping. You have a desire to make disciples. That's who you are. You're into the gifts of the Spirit. You're into the wild stuff. You believe in angels and demons. You believe in casting out demons. So if you're subscribing to any of our stuff, it's because that's who you are. Okay, you are a supernatural Christian. It's sad that we even have to say that. I mean, I think that a Christian that's not supernatural is a bit of an oxymoron. Okay, that's a bit of like a Happy Meal without a toy in it, right? It's sad. It's not a Happy Meal. It's a sad meal. It makes children cry, right? It's like a Christian that's not supernatural is like a sharp spoon or a rounded fork, a spork. You get the point. Now, when it comes to the supernatural, you have to realize I was raised by a dad who walked with angels, who literally lived in the glory. Like, my dad would be given maps that would be drawn out by the lightnings of God that would tell him where he should travel, right, overseas, and so like that was the dynamic that I was raised in, right? Is this glory? It's the supernatural. But when it comes to the supernatural, there is a propensity to begin to idolize anything spiritual, anything supernatural, and then to begin to dismiss, even to disrespect anything natural. And that's what I wanted to talk to you guys on this broadcast about is dualism, and this place of separating heaven and earth and seeing that was never God's original intent. And that's why I love what we're doing in Eden, because Eden was the place of convergence. In Eden, there was no separation, okay? In Eden, there was no dualism, okay? Eden wasn't the entire earth. It was a small place on the earth where it was the connection point between heaven and earth. It was the place where it was the celestial terrestrial hybrid, heavenly rivers and earthly rivers, and I don't think there was any competition between heaven and earth, and nor do I think that there was any sort of segregation or any sort of prejudice or racism against heavenly creatures versus earthly creatures, and we don't associate with those creatures, and what's earthly and what's heavenly. Why? Because it was on the earth as it is in heaven. That was that place of union. And that's why when Jesus said pray this way, he said pray on earth as it is in heaven. With sin, came a separation from heaven and earth. With sin came the whole kind of veils mentality, separation anxiety. And with this separation came a dualism mechanic, that doesn't exist anymore, because of what Jesus has done. There are no veils except for in our own imagination, all right? And but in the church, especially, believe it or not, in the supernatural church, even though we love to say that there are no veils, there really is. There is this place of great, and that's maybe because it seems so obvious that earth is plagued with disease and poverty and injustice, and in heaven there's no disease and there's no poverty and there's no injustice. So that automatically assumes that anything heavenly is perfect and beautiful and amazing, and anything earthly is corrupt and icky and evil. But that's not the way that God intended it to be. That's not the way it's going to be in the restoration of all things. And that is not the mentality that we should have within the church. So that's what we're going to be talking about here. I want you to share this thing, especially if you got any sort of supernatural friends, because the heresy of Gnosticism isn't coming back. The heresy of Gnosticism or dualism has been back, has been back for quite some time. And to a great degree, I would suspect that all of us have Gnostic tendencies or certain dualistic, heretical beliefs. And I'm talking about myself as well. And I'm going to highlight on some of these things. Let me show you a video real quick that we did during our Interrupters series. And this was the study of one of the original church fathers and his attempt to deconstruct dualism and Gnosticism in his generation, which, by the way, produces a total divorce from society, the arts. It creates a total divorce between the church and the culture. In fact, if you follow our ministry, you would know that I blame the great scandal of the evangelical mind. I blame the evangelical mind. Has produced the culture that we are living in. Not liberal media, not a liberal government. We are at where we are at because the church has failed, to be fruitful and to multiply and to subdue the earth and to believe in these Gnostic heresies. So anyways, I'm going to show you a clip from 2 years ago. I'll make some comments on it. Do me a favor if you would, please share this. That would be awesome. Let's see if this works. Let's go.
We don't segregate and separate the natural realm from the spirit. The two are meant to be in union. And we must adopt and appreciate logic and understanding, the appreciation of physics and nature, of story and melody and human psychology, that all of these things are elements created by God for the glory of God, and they are not a threat to His kingdom. Philosophy, logic, and knowledge is no enemy to this place of contemplation and deep spiritual meditation, but it actually anchored it and amplified it. How many of you need your place of deep contemplation, meditation, this place of intimate knowledge of your union with Christ to be amplified, to be oscillated out? It comes from not a divorce of logic, but an appreciation and an adoption that all created things exist for the revelation of the Creator.
Awesome. And I just hit on this just recently in our series where we talked about the will and we will. Because when I was speaking on the importance of our will, that this is one of the topics, the areas of the soul, which is your mind, your will, and your emotions. We are at where we are at because of our will, because of the things that we willed to do or the things that we willed not to do. But because of, again, I'll go with this term, the scandal of the evangelical mind and the total lack of teaching on the will, most Christians believe that their will is evil. In the same way that most Christians believe that their soul is evil and their spirit is good. I like, there's a quote from Roland Baker, where he was making fun of this concept, where he was talking about he would like to introduce his soul to his spirit so that his spirit can teach his soul about righteousness. We got all this idea that that the flesh is evil, the spirit is good, and so here we are in this. Here we are with this perfected spirit that has to live in the same house as our evil soul. And again, this all goes back to this idea of dualism that we see within the church. Let's hit on some of this real quick. Dualism is the belief given, theology by the heresy of Gnosticism. It denies the glory in the beginning and the understanding of what Christ has done. Dualism, Gnosticism, it says that the flesh is bad, but the spirit is good. That earth is bad, but heaven is good. That you are bad, but God is good. That your plans are bad, but God's plans are good. That your agendas are bad, but God's agendas are good. Mutilate the flesh so your spirit can thrive, right? We see this in church history. Even a lot of the mystics would suffer and invoke suffering on themselves in order to even generate supernatural type encounters, right? Deny the earth so heaven can be experienced. Punish yourself so that God can be worshiped. Have no plans, because remember, plans are evil. You have your plans. Okay, and how many of you have ever heard that man makes plans and God laughs? Okay, that is in Second Hesitations chapter 4, verse 3. It's cute Facebook theology. It's rubbish. There's a lot of the same people that sing, "You're a good father," 1 second, and then a second later they're saying that you make plans and that your good father is laughing at you, right? Some good father he is, huh? Okay, burn the script. God hates your plans. God hates your script. He is not going to honor any of your plans because you came up with it and you're bad and he's good. Your script is in contempt to God. All of this idea comes from the great separation, the great divorce between heaven and earth, the great divorce between his heart and our heart. This incredible tension that we have created, where we think that the Holy Spirit has to occupy our evilness because he's obligated to, because of the sacrifice of what Jesus has done. I'm a worm, I'm depraved, I'm a sinner, and yet Holy Spirit has to live in this unholy vessel. Even though Paul would say you're a temple, you're an unholy temple. Okay, and then a lot of the charismatic preachers on the circuit right now saying that there's all this stuff that you can do to improve your holiness. There's all these things that you can do to be holy and to improve your righteousness, to add to what Jesus has done, and it really it leads us it leads many Christians to a place where they end up with a total paralysis of analysis, never doing anything, never making any sort of plans. And this isn't how it works in the world, okay? This isn't how it works with successful people. Successful people do not believe this. I've never met a successful person that's like, I have no plans, I just have God's plans. And how presumptuous, you know? And the other thing is, we're seeing this even in hyper sensationalism, not cessationists. Okay, cessationists deny the gifts. Sensationalists say they have all the gifts and even make up gifts that don't exist, right? So in this place of hyper sensationalism, it's this whole place of like, you know, I imagine if I said this, and there are people that are doing this kind of stuff. Imagine if I got on here and I was like, hey, just so you know, I don't sleep. I don't need sleep. When everybody else sleeps, I'm in heaven, and when I am in heaven, the Lord, feeds me scrolls about how the church should look. So I literally don't sleep. Even my wife reports that I sit up in bed, my eyes flutter like this, and I walk around the house, and I've got a whiteboard in my room, and when I'm in heaven, my body is actually whiteboarding. So and there's a lot of people that believe that and think that that's pretty cool. If that was the truth, okay, that'd be pretty awesome. But there's a lot of hyper sensationalism, which basically means there's a lot of things that are being said where people are claiming to have divine knowledge, their secret wisdom. Okay, they're claiming to have secret knowledge, secret things. They're not things that you're going to find in the Bible. Okay, this is not. We can take verses out of context to support them, but this is a higher way. Okay, and then furthermore, begin to bring credit or begin to attempt to validate their revelation by making fun of everybody else's earthly ways and saying, please, you're doing your earthly thing, like sleep. you weak human, right? Humans are weak, but divine beings are and anything human is just dumb. And I've moved. I'm above that. I'm not partnering with anything human, anything earthly, and my friends, there's not a biblical case for this. It is God's heart that it would be that there would be a partnership. My kids, they're designing a chicken coop right now, and Abigail's designing one. Peter's designing a chicken coop. Sophia's birthday is coming up. We're gonna be getting her some chickens. We're gonna start getting our own eggs. We're super excited about this because I eat a lot of eggs. Okay, I probably eat more eggs than any of you watching right now. Eggs are the superfood. Eggs are amazing. We buy 5 dozen eggs at Costco at a time, and we go through those just super quick, And so we're going to be getting some chickens. Now, I don't know if Peter and Abigail are watching. Kind of hope that they're not. But I was looking at their plans, and I was like, man, these plans don't make a lot of sense to me. I was like trying to figure out the measurements on these things. I'd like to honor their plans, right? But I'll tell you what I didn't do. I didn't laugh at them, and I didn't say that they were like stupid. And I wasn't like, and what I didn't do is I didn't rip up their plans. I'm so stinking proud of my kids. My kids are so amazing. I just had to I had to figure out. They were seeing something in their heart, and they wrote it on paper. And as their dad, right, I had to kind of see what they were seeing and figure out how to make that a reality. Now, could I rip up their plans? Could I completely start over? Could I, man makes plans and God laughs. There are good ideas, and then there are God ideas, right? You got to figure out, is your God a good father, or is he just a jerk, right? Is your God saying that you built that, so that's dumb? You should have, but there's something that I want to, and this is what's going on, right? This is kind of this happens all throughout church history, and this place of people stating that they have access to hidden knowledge, to hidden things not found in the Bible. And that their way is not the man-made way. Their way is not the traditional way, and anything traditional is not of heaven. And that is absolutely false. In fact, tradition is beautiful, right? The Jewish traditions, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the Catholic Church per se, but man, I've felt the glory of God at Mass. I love reading about the early church fathers. Not one of those cats is perfect, right? But what is being stated is that, that God can't use people with issues, that God can't use imperfect plans, that God won't use anything that's, and that is absolutely not the case. He is a good father. He wants to partner with his children. And for some of you, you're praying, God, give me the plan. God, give me a plan. God's like, use your brain. Your brain is not the enemy. Your brain is not I love you. I created you to think for yourself, and any sort of supernaturalism that requires for you to be retarded, and the only revelation that you're actually allowed to run with is revelation that you're paying $5,000 to access, the higher level gurus at the top, because only they have access to the higher places. That is absolute nonsense. I'm trying to watch my language here. I could have some words. That is not the gospel of the kingdom. That is not how Jesus operate. In fact, I'd say that if your third grader can't understand it, has probably no place even in the kingdom. We got to really simplify things and know that we should go to our children and ask them what their ideas are, right? And for the kingdom, and how can we reach people, and how can we disciple people? And when they give you just a stupid idea, realize that's not a stupid idea. That's a childlike idea. How can we take that idea, add some wisdom to it, and then birth it and see it take place? That's what parents do every single day, right? Good parents don't disrespect their children. They don't cast. So point being is that God wants to partner with his children. And that is what the church is. The church is a partnership. It is a collaboration between heaven and earth. For those waiting for God just to come down and to disciple nations, you're never going to see it. God's never going to disciple nations. The day will come when he judges all the nations, but he's not going to disciple nations. And he's not going to come until we are discipling nations. All right. And so what does that mean? It means that we have a huge responsibility. We have a huge role to play. And that means that you have permission to dream. And the question isn't, are those your dreams or are those God's dreams? That just means that you're not in union with God. That just means that you're not collaborating with God. And to the degree that you can celebrate what I'm building on the earth, if you're able to celebrate me and what I'm building, you're actually celebrating the union that I have with God, even if it's not your thing, even if it's not your cup of tea. But for you to disrespect me and for you to disrespect what I'm building because it's not in alignment with your heavenly blueprint, right? That would be to disrespect the union that I have with God. And so if it's going to exist on the earth, it's going to be man-made. It's going to be created by, and thank God for man-made things. Thank God for my cell phone, for my iMac. I'm getting to broadcast to nations right now because of creative, innovative radicals that said, what if we could do this, right? And God is using iMacs and God is using iPhones. And was that heavenly or was that earthly? I don't. Is this secular or is this chair a Christian chair or is it a secular chair? Do you eat at secular restaurants or Christian restaurants? Is that a Christian tree or a secular tree? Are we really going to live in that kind of world? Are we really going to say, I can't engage with this because it's earthly? I can't engage. I only engage with the heavenly. I mean, and the more talk you hear like that, I only engage with this kind of thing. The more talk you hear like that, that is hypersensationalism. It usually is leading to some sort of rabbit trail where you can access hidden knowledge that only this one person has. It is it completely disrespects the diversity of theology, of tradition. The church has so much tradition, and a lot of it is beautiful and amazing and different. There's a lot of aspects of Presbyterianism and the understanding of church government and the presbytery that we have been able to honor and to integrate into our bylaws. There's areas of congregationalism and that we've been able to take and to integrate into our culture in Eden. And I could go on and on. I think that within the area of prayer and worship, we have a bit of a monopoly in the charismatic church. I think we're doing that pretty well. I mean, these days, even the Baptists are singing Bethel songs, right? In the old days, revival wasn't sexy, it'd get you picketed. These days, everybody's in revival, right? It's kind of funny. I could tell you stories, right? Revival is trending, right? Which is fun. That is good. Point being is you have permission to make plans. You have permission to dream. and you don't need a preacher or minister disrespecting your plans and saying that is earthly and not heavenly. And you need to know that you've got a kind daddy that's going to look at your drawing, and he's going to see issues with it. He's going to give you wisdom. He's going to give you counsel. He's going to speak through different people, assuming that you're knit up with different people, and you don't have to partner with what I'm building, and vice versa. There's grace for various relationships, and et cetera, et cetera. But for us to go full-blown deconstructionist mode and start taking bazookas to each other's blueprints, when we're on the same team, we have the same king, we have the same father, brothers and sisters, because of something like this, I don't think it's wise. So dream and make plans, and if it's successful, give glory to God. But if it's successful, really really funny story, real quick. Bill Johnson preached. This is Bill Johnson's story. He preached this really great message, and then when he was done, Rick Joyner came up to him and said, "That was a great message." And Bill said, "That was just Jesus." And Rick said, "Yeah, it wasn't that great." And Bill received it. It was almost like a kind rebuke. Point being, Bill says that now when he has a good message, a good meeting, and somebody says, "That was great," he says, "Thank you." He receives it, okay? And then he goes back to his hotel or his bedroom, and then he gets on his knees before the Lord, and he says, "I give you all the credit. I give you all the glory." And I think that's just a great way to, I don't think that there's ever a time when I can be like, "That was just all Jesus." I don't think there's ever a time like at the church if something works, I can be like, "That was just heaven," We're collaborating, right? We're working, and sometimes we get it right, and that's great. And sometimes we get it wrong, and that's fine. There are times that we fail, okay, and we're not failures. There's times that we get it right, and we don't all of a sudden position ourselves as the lords or generals over the region, right? So we got to walk this thing out with a certain amount of humility, yeah, for sure. And so here's the thing. People say to me, "Darren, did God speak to you about that?" And a lot of times I don't really know how to answer that, because a lot of times I've got so much data. There are these random, the Lord spoke to me today. Is a random thought. It was so random that I knew it was Him, and it was a warning, and I received it. And then I had a friend really kindly, sternly tell me the truth today, which I just loved. He just told me that faithful are the wounds of a friend. It was so good, and the two went together, and I was like, awesome. I love that. Yes, God will speak to you, right? But even when He speaks to you, His voice is going to go through all your filters. So even when you've heard from God, that is not 100% undiluted, unfiltered, because it's got to go through your soul. Your soul is your processor, and just be honest. There's a lot of stuff happening there, right? Our minds are still kind of being renewed. With that being said, we just walk through this with a lot of humility, and we don't use the God card to be like it's my way or the highway. If you're not listening to me, you're not listening to Jesus. I've received higher level, heavy revy intel. This is the heavenly way. You're doing it the earthly way. We're gonna rage against the machine. Everything in the church sucks. Christians are just stupid. I'm done with that whole kind of popular millennial deconstructionism thing, because the problem is that it will take you to a place of isolation. Your dreams, I promise you, will die in isolation. And I'm telling you, just nothing good will come from it. If you're just alone and bitter and just like, it's just you and your blog, right? Like that, it just leads to a sad place, and that is just not where God is taking you. However, on the opposite side, if you're going to be a part of a community, a part of a church, filled with people that are still processing through their stuff, including me, right? It's going to be just difficult, but at least you stand the chance of stepping into the fullness of your identity and destiny. That is me. I just don't think it is possible or biblical to do kingdom outside of being knit together with a lot of difficult, weird, high-strung. I mean, the church is weird, man, and humans are weird. I am weird. I'm a total weirdo. Okay, and yet we love each other, and yet we have grace, and we do stuff together that wouldn't have been possible otherwise. And so, listen, I bless you. You know, you might hate my guts. I don't know, but I bless you. You might love my guts. I don't know, but I bless you, and I pray that this helps, and I pray that to the degree that you have cursed the church, that by God's grace that there could be some forgiveness there, so that you could find yourself really attached to a very imperfect, man-made situation where God can be glorified through your humanness, and that some stuff would get established actually on the earth, not just in the cosmos, not just on a planet, but that the earth would actually be better because of you. That's how I pray for my kids. I tell them all the time, the earth will be better because of you, and that's because you're going to have good ideas, you're going to have bad ideas, but as you collaborate with the King. I never want my kids saying, "Was that a good idea or is that a God idea?" I never want my kids to ask that question. I want my kids to say, "I'm collaborating with the Lord, and even in my worst ideas, it's going to be a collaboration with the Lord. I'm going to learn. Not everything's going to be successful, but I'm not going to play the dualistic, Gnostic game." I'm gonna stink and engage in all my humanness, okay, with this beautiful earth, with this beautiful heaven, praying the prayer of Jesus that it would be on earth as it is in heaven. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think that God can use messed up, screwed up people, institutions, and things, or is there this futuristic, supernatural, unflawed model that's going to be established on the earth without any sort of human integration, and established only through perfect people that are operating according to secret knowledge that no other human has ever, the kind of stuff that's just not in the Bible, right? He can let me know. You know me well enough to know that I'm having a little bit of fun. I say this with love. I also say this with some concern. I bless you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. See you soon.